Hello everyone. In this video, we will be discussing the fourth chapter of Early Social Formation by AMAR, The Dawn of Civilization, Bronze Age Mesopotamia. In this video, we are going to explore the pivotal transition from Neolithic to Bronze Age civilization in Mesopotamia. We will be focusing on its unique geographical features, the evolution of early food producing societies, and the emergence of complex social, political, and economic structures. We'll also look into the development of key innovations like irrigation, metallurgy, writing, and urbanization, culminating in the rise of powerful city states and empires. Especially, we will look into the role of temple, the formation of class stratified societies, and also the legal code of Hammurabi. So let's get started uh, with this chapter, with this lecture. Um, the transition from Neolithic to Bronze Age civilization first occurred in Mesopotamia, corresponding broadly to present-day Iraq. Okay. The region holds special significance as the birthplace of the earliest known Bronze Age civilization, the Sumerian civilization. Uh, the rich archaeological record allows us for a detailed reconstruction of this evolution from early food producing societies to metal using society. Mesopotamia is defined by two major rivers, Euphrates and Tigris, flowing from north to south into the Persian Gulf. The region is broadly divided into two distinct environmental zones. The northern Mesopotamia, also known as also used to be known as Assyria, and southern Mesopotamia, Sumeria and Akkad. Northern Mesopotamia extended from the Zagros Mountains to the Middle Tigris, and it is bounded. It was bounded by the Syrian desert. This area receives adequate rainfall for rain-fed agriculture. Southern Mesopotamia lies between Middle Tigris and Persian Gulf, characterized by flat and arid land with scarce rainfall. Cultivation here relies entirely on irrigation from the Euphrates and Tigris. Historically, the southernmost part of Mesopotamia was known as Sumeria, while the area between Sumeria and northern Mesopotamia was called Akkad. Together, Sumeria and Akkad formed southern Mesopotamia from around 2000 BC. This region was often referred to as Babylonia, with Babylon emerging as a major political center. Let's look into the Neolithic settlement in northern Mesopotamia because there are two major geographical areas: northern Mesopotamia and southern Mesopotamia. So the northern Mesopotamia was home to some of the earliest Neolithic settlements. With evidence of food production dating back nearly around 10,000 BP before present in the Zagros mountain foothills. These regions, sufficient winter rainfall supported the cultivation of crops like wheat and barley without the need for irrigation. Between around 8,000 to 6,000 BC, uh, numerous Neolithic villages emerged. Sites like Zarmo and Undabagia. So Zarmo featured multi-roomed mud wall structures, houses with ovens and storage basins, indicating a settled agricultural life. Food production was a primary activity, which is evidenced by sickles and cultivated grains. We are still talking about the Neolithic settlements, so metal use is still not there. The sickles are made up of stones. Successive Neolithic cultures from around 6000 BC. Food production was widespread, which led to further evolution in the Neolithic culture. Uh, First came Hasuna from 6000 to 5500 BC. It was a widespread settlement with multi-room houses and grain storage used stone bladed sickles, and produced painted pottery with geometric designs. Hunting became a secondary activity, which is quite obvious owing to the fact that now people are settled and they are involving themselves with agriculture. Then came Samara culture from 5500 to 5000 BC, settled along the Middle Tigris, requiring primitive artificial irrigation due to scarcer resource rainfall. Sites like Tel Asavan and Chogamami show evidence of rudimentary canals and more complex social organization, including defensive ditches. And we will look into the Halaf culture in a much more detailed manner in the next slide. But all in all, it represented the most advanced Neolithic stage in the northern Mesopotamia, and it was known for its outstanding handmade pottery and early use of metallic copper beads. Halafian culture, obviously, I already mentioned it flourished from around 5500 to 4500 BC. It represented the pinnacle of Neolithic development in northern Mesopotamia. While obviously stone tools remained primary, tiny beads of metallic copper indicate early metal use. Historians are of the opinion that one of the most beautiful ever the most beautiful ever used in Mesopotamia. That is the Halafian pottery. Pottery. Uh, it was painted, slightly glazed, and fired at high temperature, giving it a characteristic shine. Widespread influence uh, found across a vast area from the Zagros mountain to Syria, suggesting extensive trade and exchange networks. And early metal use, discovery of copper metal beads, though not mined, points to nascent metallurgical understanding. Now look into the southern Mesopotamian region, irrigation and early cultures. Okay, settlement irrigation in southern Mesopotamia. The settlement of southern Mesopotamia, a region with extremely fertile soil but minimal rainfall, began around 5000 BC. This endeavor was only possible through the simultaneous development of artificial irrigation. Early settlements focused along the river banks, with the canals later extending water to distant fields. The Euphrates higher bed facilitated a natural stream flow towards the Tigris, which could be channeled. The Tigris, however, required barrages for water diversion, where this extensive network of canals and barrages eventually allowed the region to realize its full potential, becoming the heartland of the early Bronze civilization. The three key Neolithic cultures developed in southern Mesopotamia, the Alabad culture and Uruk culture, and the Zamdat Nasr culture. Let's get started with the Alabad culture. Uh, it was the first major adaptation to the southern Mesopotamian environment. It was harsh, and the environment was harsh. Uh, uh, Artificial irrigation was required. Utilized the people of southern Mesopotamia population. It utilized natural channels for irrigation. Wheat, barley, goat, sheep, fish, and date palms form the dietary staples. Then Uruk culture, one of the West Asia's most prominent culture, marking significant advancement in technology, social organization, and emergence in writing. Now, you have to understand something. Okay, Mesopotamia, all in all, did not came into being suddenly. It happened. It was a process from Neolithic to Bronze Age. It was a process. Technological innovations were going on. Population was increasing. People were settling, villages were formed, different cultures came into being one after another. Okay, we'll be discussing this the wheel, the plow, and the writing in the coming slides. So no need to worry about that. Zamdat Nasr culture, it started, it was the timeline is from 3200 to 3000 BC. It culminated in the emergence of Sumerian civilization, characterized by further urban growth and technological refinement. The Al-Ubaid culture also shows early small-scale use of copper for tools. Metallurgists, initially roving specialists, traveled between villages, exchanging metal objects for food. The specialization was supported by the community's ability to produce food surpluses. The extensive use of sun-dried clay brick for construction due to the lack of stone was another hallmark of this period. Okay, the role of temples and as centers of power and organization. Let's first discuss Uruk for its innovation in writing, technological innovation, the wheel, the plow. So the Uruk culture represents the remarkable leap in human civilization, marking the transition from prehistory to proto-history. It yielded the earliest evidence of the wheel, the plow, and writing. Technological breakthrough, the wheel turned pottery. Initially, it was slow turn, then fast water wheels produced beautiful vases. Wheel making was linked to metallurgy as metal tools facilitated cutting wood into round shapes. The plow, the plow revolutionized agriculture by making soil breaking easier and more efficient than digging sticks. Though it was costly, it signified a major advancement in labor saving technology. Writing, well, we all know how important writing is. Let's first discuss the seals, which are also very important. Seals. Stamp seals, the rectangular one depicted animals and plants, and later cylindrical seals rolled in on for clay for identification, indicated ownership and showcased high artistic standards, often depicting mythological figures or daily life. The invention of writing by around 3500 BC, Sumeria's economy, particularly temple-led transactions, uh, became too complex for oral record keeping. So this necessitated the development of writing. Early records show the clay tablets were with crude pictures. Early records were with clay tablets, and crude pictures was there, pictograms, represented temple accounts and ration lists. Then came into being the cuneiform script. With authority, a centralized structure. Uh, Script was necessary to keep record of all the things. It evolved from simplified pictograms into a systematic script using wedge-shaped impressions made by a stylus. Initially depicting objects, it later expanded to represent speech sounds, becoming partly phonetic by Zamdat Nasir period. Let's look into the temples, centers of power as centers of power and organization. Obviously, temples played a pivotal role in Sumerian society, but temples already started from a very earlier time period. Uh, the development of artificial irrigation in southern Mesopotamia demanded significant planning, coordination, and cooperation. It necessitated a higher form of social organization. So, to fill up that gap, temples played a crucial role in this process, evolving from small shrines into massive structures that became central to the social, religious, cultural, economic, and political life of settlements. All the spheres of it. Okay. The temples were instrumental in organizing irrigation, specialization of labor and population concentration, which led to urbanization. Okay, and class society, obviously. The temples, how temples are coming into being. Temples were instrumental in organizing irrigation complex, which obviously was a complex task, owing to the fact that the region's climate was harsh. Deep canals were needed to draw water from rivers during low water levels in winter and when crops were planted. Additionally, a network of canals, dikes, and reservoirs were developed to manage flood waters and prevent waterlogging in the flat landscape. This collective labor, supervised by temples, allowed priests and temple personnel to accumulate expertise in irrigation, which further asserted their authority over centuries. Temples transformed into instruments of political control. Archaeological evidences suggest that the huge mud brick temple at Eridu highlights the dominant position of temples in Sumeria from Alubad period onwards. These structures, often built on high platforms and later evolving into ziggurats, served not only as a place of worship but also as an economic hub with warehouses, workshops, and living quarters. Uh, yes. Now let's look into this one, the urban revolution and class society. The emergence of cities, urbanization, was more than just population growth. It signified a fundamental transformation in social organization. Urban centers were characterized by extensive specialization, division of labor, and complex social economic structures, requiring elaborate political arrangement for regulation and dispute management. Gordon Child identified several key developments intertwined with the rise of urban centers. Uh, like centralized capital accumulation through tribute and taxation, or monumental public works, large scale construction project, or invention of writing for record keeping and administration, advances in science to be towards an exact and predictive knowledge, class stratified society, emergence of distinct social classes, craft specialization, population freed from sustenance, subsistence tasks for full-time craft like metallurgy. Territorial state replaced kin-based social organization, and city nation empires came into being this way. Long distance trade, growth in luxury good exchange. Obviously, the nobility or the high class society, it somehow compelled for high because they wanted to try to become different. They were rich, they had money, ex power was there, they wanted to distinguish themselves. So for like they want the need for luxury goods, it increased. These development, particularly metallurgy and surplus production, were crucial. The ability to produce a regular food surplus was essential to support specialists like metallurgists who were freed from food production. Southern Mesopotamia's lack of raw material like copper and wood obviously further necessitated a trade, leading to a class of specialized traders. Let's discuss this one also, the rise of class society. Uh, the transition from Neolithic to Bronze Age also marked a shift from egalitarian clan tribe organization to class stratified societies. While clans and tribes, initially exogamous but endogamous within a tribe, continue to exist, their collective ownership of land and resources eroded with the rise of private property. And temples, through their control over irrigation and surplus, played a pivotal role in consolidating political authority. There is going to have a a political authority which is compelling all the populace to do something. Why do people follow rules? There is some kind of compel, some force is required. We have laws in our country. But why do people follow laws? Because we have police, we have judiciary, we have political authority. We are a democratic nation, but still laws has to be followed. We have judiciary to take care, executive to take care for it. Okay, let's discuss class society. The transition from Neolithic to Bronze Age also marked a shift from egalitarian clan tribes organization to class stratified societies. While clans and tribes initially exogamous but endogamous within a tribe continued to exist, their collective ownership of land and resources eroded with the rise of private property. Temples, through their control over irrigation and surplus, played a pivotal role in consolidating political authority. Temples officials managed water allocation and labor, reinforcing their power. This authority was used to coerce farmers into producing surpluses, often through religious compulsions and the threat of divine displeasure. The surplus collected by temple was stored, redistributed, and used to support artisans and warriors. Warriors defended territory, conducted raid, and provided armed support to priests, further integrating military and religious power. In the Zamdat Nasr culture, cities like Ur, and Kish became centers of city states. You can write it down. These city-states, often fortified and strategically located near water resources, were essentially temple states, where the was the nucleus of political authority. By circa 3100 BC, Sumerian city-states were governed by chiefs or kings who also held priestly functions, reflecting the integration of kinship with religious roles. Titles are Lugal, big man, and An, spouse of the city goddess, illustrate this fusion of political and priestly power. The early dynastic period, circa 3000 to 2350 BC, saw city-states vying for supremacy, often over water rights, with warfare becoming a regular feature. Specialists warrior replaced tribal participation in warfare, accelerating state formation and the concentration of military power. There's one more important topic we have to look into is the rise of the empires and the decline of female deities. Uh, you can either read the book itself or you can simply write what I'm talking about. Okay. The political landscape of Mesopotamia saw a significant shift with the rise of empires. Around 2350 BC, Sargon of Akkad unified much of the southern Mesopotamia. He established a new capital at Agade and strengthening monarchical tradition. This marked a shift of political power from temple to palaces. First, the power concentrated in the temple, and now kings are rising. Okay, and they are taking away the political power from temples, and the political power is concentrating in the palaces now with the king or the emperor. The Akkadians, linguistically distinct Semitic speakers, adopted the Sumerian cuneiform script and other cultural elements. After the Akkadian Empire, the third dynasty of uh, Ur from around 2150 to 2000 BC, brought another period of prominence, evidenced by the magnificent gold, silver, and bronze objects found in royal graves, showcasing immense wealth and craftsmanship. Later, Babylon rose to prominence under Hammurabi. We will be talking about the laws of Hammurabi. From around 1792 to 1749 BC, who forged a vast empire and left a lasting legacy with his famous code of law. Under Hammurabi, Babylon became so central that southern Mesopotamia was hence known as Babylonia. Sumerian religion, characterized by city-specific deities and pantheon systemized by priests, saw a striking development between 3000 to 2000 BC. The decline of female deities, this was the systematic decline we are looking at. Okay, so the mother goddesses cult, which was prevalent in the Neolithic phase, was now largely marginalized, reflecting the general subordination of women in the Bronze Age. The more centralized the authority is becoming, the more developed a society is becoming, we are seeing that the position of women is declining. The subordination of women is happening. The exception was obviously Inaha, the god uh, Akkadian Ishtar, okay, identified with Akkadian Ishtar. She was the goddess, a goddess of fertility and love, whose cult originating in Uruk remained popular across West Asia. But all in all, in a very general sense, women's position was becoming subordinated. This position is certainly very different from the Neolithic phase or before that, from gathering food together. Now they are subordinated. Let's talk about the Hammurabi's code and social structure. Hammurabi's code. Hammurabi's code, though it was not the earliest or the most comprehensive legal compilation, but it was a monumental achievement, inscribed on stelae and placed across the empire. It contained around 282 laws covering a vast range of subjects, confirming a highly stratified society. The code recognized three main classes: Vardu, slaves; Mushkenu, free commoners, but there were still restrictions; Avelu, nobility, upper class, with distinct legal provisions. We'll read about this in India, in the Vedic period also. So, Vardu slaves, mostly prisoners of war or those unable to repay debt, they were treated as property with distinctive marks. They could be shaven or branded. The helping a slave escape was also punishable by death. Slavery became possible with surplus production and warfare because now people are able to keep slaves and feed them also. Mushkenu, free persons with limited rights, could not hold public offices or possess weapons, and property rights were obviously restricted. Uh, they were kind of tenants to the upper class people. They occupied a lower social status than Avelu, and Avelu, the uppermost stratum, including priests, noble military leaders, scribes, and wealthy farmers, enjoyed superior rights and social status, with lighter penalties for similar offenses compared to Mushkenu. Obviously, slaves were treated very badly, understandable. We have a family laws as well. Approximately one fourth of the code pertains to marriage and family relationship. It certainly is talking about how to now, because a state has been formed, people are being protected by the state. There is an army. Society is highly stratified. Man is taking control of the family. Woman is subordinated. Women, and because of this, and also because of the rise of private property, these laws were necessary at that point of time to protect the property of the family. The son is going to uh, succeed the father, or the sons are going to succeed the father, and the property is going to stay within the family. This is how these laws were compiled. The codes also heavily regulated, obviously, marriages and family relationships. It reflected the growing emphasis on family as the primary social unit amidst declining clan structures and the emergence of private property. Property was inherited within the family, and the patriarchal structure was reinforced. A significant development was the subjugation of women, termed the world historical defeat of the female sex by Frederick Engels. Women, once integral to food gathering, became commodities for exchange and reproduction in patriarchal societies. Hammurabi's code solidified male dominance. with fathers holding absolute authority, divorce being a male prerogative, and dowries passing to sons. Economic laws addressed land reclamation, canal maintenance, and service fees. Military organization was also evident through the Ilkum system, where land grants obliged holders to military service. Punishments often followed eye for an eye principle, influencing legal system across West Asia at that point of time. So there was a legal this Hammurabi's code was a legal compilation. It was comprehensive law across the empire, which suggests that a single political authority is taking control. Hammurabi's time was obviously a very centralized time period. The power was centralized, extremely centralized. We are seeing social stratification, Vardu, Mushkenu, Avelu classes. Family regulations are there, marriages, inheritance, divorce rules, all in favor of male. Okay, mostly because to keep the private property in their family. Patriarchal enforcement, women's subjugation and male rights are the same thing with the same family regulations. We are going to see these kind of rules in other cultures as well, uh, because with urbanization came the subordination of women. Women became subordinated, and they were controlled. They were kept in houses, and they were treated as a property, or it became male's prerogative to take care of the family. Females were seen as uh, commodities, and for exchange and reproduction mainly. And with this, our chapter has come to an end. Obviously, there must have been some question. You can comment about what questions you have. There will be other videos coming for the upcoming next chapters. So subscribe to the channel so that you will get notification for the next chapters, and share it with your friend. Try, and also try to write some answers, because you are going to a little bit of writing skill is needed, so you can score a good mark in exams. Okay, with this, thank you for watching.